So the end of September is shaping up to be insane. There's a huge amount of awesome sneakers releasing and I want all of them. What's up everybody, I'm Seth Fowler and this is Sit or Sell for the second half of September 2020. Thanks so much for tuning in today. Make sure to hit that subscribe button down below if you haven't yet, and also make sure to give me a follow on Instagram and on Twitter at RealSethFowler. But before we jump into the video, I want to give a huge thank you to the sponsor of today's video, ShopTagger. ShopTagger is one of my favorite Chrome extensions, websites, and apps, and the reason for that is because I use it pretty much every single day. First of all, ShopTagger is free, and it allows you to tag items that you were already planning to buy online so that you know when those items go on sale, or in the case of a lot of sneakers, come back in stock. It's actually kind of like a sneaker restock monitor. I've never used it for that, but it could definitely be used for that. The way that ShopTagger works is you go to the webpage of the item that you want, and then you click the ShopTagger icon, which allows you to tag that item. You can categorize that item however you want. In fact, you can even put that item in wish lists so you can give little hints to people for your birthday or Christmas or whatever holiday is coming up next. But you can also set up push notifications to let you know whenever that item goes on sale, or even more on sale than it already is. One of my favorite things that ShopTagger just added is their brand new cash back feature. This feature allows you to earn cash back through PayPal whenever you shop at select retail partners. And of course, whenever you're ready to check out, ShopTagger scans the internet for the best coupon codes available to make sure that you're getting the best deal on the item that you're buying. ShopTagger is such a useful tool when it comes to buying pretty much anything, and it's definitely worth checking out because it's free. And if you'd like to check it out for yourself, there's a link in the top of the description. And installing ShopTagger is really easy and quick. All you have to do is click the link in the top of the description and then add it to Chrome. But now let's get right back to it. Like I said, the end of this month is filled with so many insane releases. It's so much better than the beginning of the month, and I'm so stoked for it. So why don't I stop wasting your time and let's just jump into the releases. So starting things off on September 17th, we've got the Nike Hybrid 2 What The. So this shoe is interesting because not only is the shoe itself actually a mashup of a couple different Kyrie silhouettes, but the colorway is a What The colorway, which incorporates a couple different colorways from different Kyrie silhouettes. According to Nike, some of the colorways featured in the shoe are the Kyrie 4 All-Stars and the Kyrie 5 Tacos. This shoe just takes so many different details from so many different Kyries. It's truly a mashup. It's truly a What The shoe. Now with all that being said, from a distance, it still looks like a black Kyrie, and there's nothing wrong with that, and if you're a Kyrie fan, you'll notice all the little details, but if you're just a general sneakerhead or you don't really know too much about Kyrie, you're not going to catch a lot of the cool things that have been incorporated into this shoe. I have no idea how limited this shoe is going to be, whether it's super limited or whether it's more of like a limited GR release. I would tend to think it's the latter, and that although this shoe will be relatively easy to get, I do think there's going to be a lot of Kyrie fans out there who might rush out to the store and actually grab this shoe. So because of that, I'm going to give this shoe a sell. Next up, we've got the Fragment Jordan Air Cadence. This low-top Jordan silhouette is kind of a mashup between classic and modern design, and what's interesting about it is that it really looks a lot like an Air Max. This colorway of the Air Cadence comes in a tonal gray and is obviously a collaboration with Japanese fashion imprint Fragment. It's not a bad-looking shoe, and I'm sure it's really comfortable. You've got a visible air unit on the heel, you've got some really nice plush-looking materials on the upper, but it's not something that I really feel like I need. That said, it is technically a collaboration Jordan sneaker, and because of that, I think the shoe is going to sell. Also dropping on the 17th, we've got the flagship shoe from the Fragment Jordan brand collaboration with the Fragment Air Jordan 3. This Fragment Air Jordan 3 comes in a primarily white makeup with a black line running across the mudguard that really kind of just looks like there's a black line bisecting the shoe. The heel tab on the sneaker features that same semi-translucent rubber that we saw on the Denim Air Jordan 3s, and through the rubber you can actually see through to the Fragment logo printed on the heel. That's probably the most interesting detail on the shoe, at least for me, and I think a lot of people might have been somewhat disappointed with this release. But maybe we're all just shallow hype beasts and this is an incredible collaboration and we just can't see it. I don't think there's anything wrong with the shoe, I just think it's so understated, it just isn't that exciting. To be fair, that's definitely the direction that Hiroshi Fujiwara has been taking the Fragment imprint, but I've got to say I think a lot of people would have preferred something closer to the original Fragment Air Jordan 1s. To be fair though, the shoe is still a super limited collaboration with Jordan brand. It's still a pretty clean looking shoe and it's definitely going to sell out. Moving on to September 18th, we've got Denim's first collaboration with Nike on the Air Max 1. Denim, pronounced the way that we pronounce denim for jeans, but spelled differently, is a fashion brand that primarily makes jeans. And the Denim Air Max 1s come in primarily dark navy suede paneling with bright white stitching along the upper. Like a lot of the other sneakers releasing this year, this shoe features a heavy Japanese influence, and I think overall it's an incredible looking shoe. The Denim Nike collaboration is one of the less well-known collaborations happening this month, but I think it's one of the cleanest. And like most other collaborations, this shoe will probably be very limited and very difficult to get. So because of that, I'm giving this shoe a sell. Also releasing on the 18th, we've got the Nike Zoom Freak 2 Bamo. I can't believe Jimmy Butler just knocked the Bucks out of the playoffs. That's crazy. I wish Jimmy was still on the Sixers. That's our fault. We shouldn't have done that. This Nike Zoom Freak 2 comes in the Milwaukee Bucks colorways, or I guess a forest camo colorway with some orange accents on the sock liner. And overall, if you like green, this is a solid looking Nike Zoom Freak 2. Personally, if I were to grab a Nike Zoom Freak 2, this would be the one that I would grab, especially since you can't even see the Nike swoosh. It's so weird. Like, I'm looking where it should be and it's just not there. That's crazy. But at the end of the day, it is still most likely a GR release, and because of that, I think this shoe is gonna sit. And then, rounding off September 18th, we've got the Adidas Yeezy Boost 380 Pepper Reflective. This shoe comes in a blue and tan upper accented by sort of a yellow stripe along the side, as well as a dark gray or almost black colored midsole. Obviously, as you can tell from the name, the shoe is the reflective and probably more limited version of the shoe. Not only that, but the price is also $20 higher than the standard release. My love for the 380s has kind of decreased as time has gone on, and the reason for that is that the more that I wear them, the less that I like the way that they look on my feet. They're incredibly comfortable, don't get me wrong, but visually, I'm not in love with them. But in my opinion, the Pepper colorway is one of the better colorways to release so far, and I think it's going to be one of the best colorways looking back on the 380s a couple years down the road. All that said, the reflective variant of the shoe, being the much more limited version of the shoe, will definitely sell out. Moving on to September 19th, we've got the Air Jordan 14 Hyper Royal. This shoe comes in a super clean white leather upper accented by, you guessed it, Hyper Royal. The blue accents on this shoe just pop. It's a great looking sneaker, and I'm starting to really like Air Jordan 14s. I know, it's taken years, and it's not a shoe that I ever thought that I would be in love with, but my pair of 14s is one of my most worn pairs in my collection over the last couple months, so this might be a pickup for me. This Ferrari-inspired silhouette features a Jumpman logo that mirrors the Ferrari logo on the lateral side of the shoe, and also a carbon fiber midfoot plate. If you're a fan of 14s or you're looking to get into 14s, this shoe is a must cop, and unfortunately, a lot of people are excited about it, so because of that, this shoe is definitely going to sell out. Next up, we've got the non-reflective release of the Adidas Yeezy Boost 380 Pepper. So I picked up a pair of these from GOAT for my review, and I've got to say, in person, it looks better than it does online, and that's usually the case for Yeezys. In person, you can just see a lot more of the color variation that takes place on the prime knit, and I think these subtle blues just look so clean. Is this an everyday shoe for me? Probably not. Is this something that I'm going to keep in my collection forever? Definitely not, but it's a good shoe in the now. It's very comfortable, and out of all the 380s, like I said about the reflective pair, it's one of the better looking ones. Unlike the reflective pair, however, this shoe doesn't feature the reflective prime knit, and it also is $20 cheaper. So if you're looking to grab a pair of 380s and you don't want to deal with the resale prices of the reflective pair or waiting for 3 hours on YeezySupply.com, this is a good way to go. Also on the 19th, we've got the Instant Skateboards Nike SB Dunk Low. This shoe comes in sort of a 3-colored upper. You've got a bright blue around the heel and the midfoot, a light gray around the mudguard of the shoe, and then a dark gray in the toe. You've also got a really interesting mini Nike swoosh embroidered into the center of the toe, which I think is a nice touch. It's not something you often see, but I'm kind of into it. You've also got a black Nike swoosh running down the side of the sneaker and the Instant Skateboards logo embroidered onto the heel. It's a nice looking shoe, but I'm sure like most other Nike SB collaborations, this shoe will only be releasing in skate shops, which means it's going to be even harder to get, and while I think it's fine, it's not something I want to pay resale for personally. If you're looking to grab a pair of these, you're going to have to be on it because this shoe is definitely going to sell out. Then moving on to September 23rd, we've got the Nike Space Hippie 04 in Astronomy Blue. This is actually a really clean colorway for the Space Hippie collection. I kind of wish this was the original colorway because this one's hot. The upper of the shoe comes in a light tannish gray color accented by a bright blue Nike swoosh, and of course the midsole and outsole of the sneaker come with Nike grind, which makes this shoe kind of look like it has a splatter print. Although the Space Hippie 4 is probably the least popular of all the Space Hippie sneakers, because it's releasing on its own, I think there's going to be enough hype there to really make people want to go after this shoe. Plus, again, that colorway is dope. It actually looks like a space shoe in that colorway. I'm so into it. If you're not familiar with the Space Hippie collection, it's essentially Nike's recycled line. They take a lot of different materials from their factories that were left over from previous shoes or materials that they're actually recycling themselves, and they reuse those materials in really creative ways, and the Space Hippie collection, I think, is made up of 50% recycled materials overall, which is super cool. Or is it 50% of the weight of the Space Hippie collection is made up of recycled materials? I think it's 50% of the weight, which isn't as impressive, but still pretty cool. Unfortunately for me, and probably most other people out there who want this shoe, getting it will be very difficult, and it's probably going to sell out. Then rounding off the 23rd, we've got the Nike Dunk High Pro in white and green. This shoe hasn't been back for a minute, and a lot of people are really excited about this sneaker. In fact, I think even Virgil's hyped on this sneaker because one of his off-white Nike Dunks was based on this shoe. This Nike Dunk High comes in an incredibly clean white and green leather upper, which looks great. It's a simple Dunk High, but it's so clean because it's so simple, and the colors that they use are, perfect. They're perfect. It's an incredible sneaker. It's also one of the most anticipated Nike Dunk High releases, and it originally was thought to be releasing in 2021 and not 2020. And so because of that, the hype on this shoe is real. And like just about every other shoe that we talked about in today's video, this shoe is definitely going to sell. Continuing on to September 24th, we've got the women's Air Jordan 6 Chrome. This shoe comes in a primarily black upper with a light gray accent along the side of the sneaker. It's an interesting looking Air Jordan 6. It's not exactly the color blocking that I would go for personally, but it's not for me. It's a women's exclusive, so maybe some women out there really love the look of this shoe. Maybe some guys do too, I don't know. There's definitely nothing wrong with it, and the suede that they use on the light gray panel of the shoe looks pretty solid, but it's not something that I personally would pick up. And even though the shoe is a popular Jordan model, it's a women's exclusive, it's a colorway that no one really has seen before, and it's not a retro, it's also not a collaboration. So all those things together means that this shoe is probably not going to sell out. I could totally be wrong though. Every Jordan right now is selling like crazy, so this one could sell out, who knows. After that, we've got another women's exclusive release with the Nike Dunk Low Disrupt in white. The Nike Dunk Low Disrupt is a new take on the Nike Dunk Low, and it sort of exaggerates certain details so that it kind of has this chunkier look to it, which I think people like. But it's definitely a new look for the silhouette. I don't know, I think I prefer standard dunks, and I think everyone else prefers standard dunks too, but it's cool to see them iterating on the original silhouette, I guess. Like I said, the shoe is a women's exclusive, and from what I can tell, this is the second or third colorway of this shoe to release, and it comes in a primarily white upper with a semi-translucent icy outsole. It's not a bad looking shoe by any stretch of the imagination, and it's also technically a Nike Dunk, which means people are going to be inherently into it, I guess. And the last Nike Dunk Low Disrupt that we saw release sold out instantly, and I think it's going to be exactly the same for this pair, and I think the shoe is going to sell. Then on September 25th, we've got another denim release with the Denim Nike Air Max 90. This denim Nike collaboration comes in the classic infrared 90 color scheme, and I think it looks incredible. I love this shoe. As you might have guessed, a majority of the panels in the upper of the shoe are made of denim, which makes sense. And the colorway on this shoe really mimics the classic infrared 90s, which should be re-releasing this year. I'm not 100% sure, but I definitely need a new pair of those. Out of all the denim Nike sneakers dropping in this collaboration, I think this will be the most popular because, in my opinion, it's the cleanest, and it's also probably the most popular silhouette. But hey, you never know. I think it's a great looking sneaker, and I love the denim paneling on the upper. And as with the other sneakers in the denim collaboration, this shoe will most likely sell out. Also releasing on the same day, we've got the final sneaker in the Denim Nike collaboration, and that's the Denim Nike Air Max 95 Neon. Again, this shoe comes in a primarily denim upper and also features that classic neon Air Max 95 colorway. I gotta say, denim is killing it with these collaborations. They stuck with what worked, and that was OG colorways, and they just added denim, and that was it, and it's perfect. This Denim Air Max 95 is clean, it's classic, and it's a dope collaboration, and most likely it will be very limited and will sell out almost instantly. And then rounding off September 25th, we've got a shoe that is near and dear to my heart, and that's the New Balance Bodega 997S Better Days. Bodega was kind enough to send me over a pair to review a couple weeks early, and I've got to say, this is one of my favorite pickups of the year, by far. You guys know how I feel about New Balance, you guys know how much I love that brand, and Bodega has just been absolutely killing it with their collaborations with New Balance, and every collab that they've done on the 997S in particular has been just an insanely hyped up sneaker that's been almost a game changer because of how much it makes people really look at New Balance again. I've actually done a full unboxing and review on this sneaker, so if you guys would like to check that out, make sure to click the link at the top of the screen. Personally, I love the sunset vibe that this collaboration has because it's the last collaboration between Bodega and New Balance on the 997S, so it's kind of like the sun setting on this silhouette's collab. I don't know, it's cool symbolism, I guess. The 997S in general is just a really solid silhouette, and it always features super premium materials, and this collab is absolutely no different. Seriously, if you guys want to see my full thoughts on this shoe, it's definitely worth checking out that review because there's so many little details about this sneaker that are just so cool. The New Balance Bodega 997S Better Days is not going to be an easy sneaker to grab, so if you want a pair of these, again, you gotta be on it because this shoe will definitely sell out. After that, on September 26th, we've got the Nike Hybrid 2 Shishiko. This Japanese-inspired colorway comes in a primarily white upper with a blue wing across the top and blue accents throughout. But what really gives this shoe its unique flavor is the Shishiko embroidery throughout. Speaking of Shishiko, that Air Jordan 4 Shishiko is nuts. I gotta grab a pair of those are crazy. I'm just realizing it now, but it's very possible that this is my favorite Kyrie colorway ever. I just think it looks incredible. As to whether this shoe is going to sell out or sit, I think it all comes down to whether this shoe is limited or not. And most likely, I think this shoe will be somewhat limited, but not insanely limited. And for that reason, I think the shoe might sit. But we'll just have to wait and see. I could be completely off base about that one. Also dropping on the 26th, we've got the Nike Dunk High Michigan. Like the Pro Greens that we just talked about, this shoe comes in a pretty simple yellow and blue leather upper, and of course it comes in the Michigan colorway. If I remember correctly, this shoe is part of the original Collegiate pack and is retroing for the first time in years. It makes sense that they're doing it now. Dunks are back at the peak of their popularity, and it's a solid looking dunk high. As with every other dunk that we talked about in today's video, just every other dunk in the world, this shoe will definitely sell out. Next up, we've got the Air Jordan 10 Dark Mocha. This shoe comes in a primarily dark brown or mocha brown nubuck upper with some leather accents around the laces on the shoe. In addition to that, the shoe also comes with a black midsole accented by some red accents on the outsole. I'm not a huge fan of this colorway. It's definitely a weird look for a pair of Air Jordan 10s, and while I don't think it's a bad colorway, and I know there's people out there who will like it, it's just not for me. But even though I don't really like this shoe, I know there's a ton of other people out there who do, so for that reason, I think the shoe's gonna sell. Then rounding off the 26th, we've got the Air Jordan 13 Lucky Green. This Air Jordan 13 comes with a very Celtics looking colorway. You've got primarily white leather on the upper, accented by green suede around the midsole and the heel of the shoe. Even though I'm a big Sixers fan, and because of that I'm just really not a fan of the Celtics whatsoever, I still think it's a really nice looking shoe. There's something about that shade of green that just pops so nicely, and on the Air Jordan 13s, it just looks really clean. I don't know, it's one of the better 13 releases we've had in a while. I guess we've had the Flints this year, so we've had some pretty good 13s recently, but it's still a solid drop. Apparently this shoe pays homage to Ray Allen's 3-point record PE, and I think a lot of people have been excited about this shoe because they finally have a chance to grab something that looks like that PE. But at the end of the day, like I said, it's a clean 13. Jordans are incredibly popular, and I think this shoe is definitely going to sell out. Moving on to September 28th, we've got the Fragment Air Jordan 35. What's interesting about this shoe is that while the Air Jordan 35 has not been officially revealed, this collaboration has pretty much been confirmed. As you saw from earlier in the video, Fragment is doing a lot with Jordan Brand this month, so it just makes sense that they're going to be collaborating on Jordan Brand's latest signature sneaker. This Air Jordan 35 features a much closer colorway to the Air Jordan 1 Fragment that we talked about a little bit earlier, and because of that, I think it's going to be a surprisingly popular shoe. The sneaker comes in a mix of black and blue leathers with some really nice accent stitching in white throughout. And as far as Air Jordan 35 colorways that we've seen so far, this one is definitely my favorite. I don't think this is going to be the first Air Jordan 5 to release. I think there's going to be an official release for the shoe, and they're going to drop like a random GR colorway first, and it's probably not been announced yet, so because of that, it's not in the sit or sell video. But I definitely think because the shoe is a newer Jordan silhouette, and it's also a Fragment collaboration, and it looks pretty good, that this shoe is probably going to sell out. I'm also really stoked to try the Air Jordan 35. I can't wait to actually get a pair in hand. And then rounding off today's video on September 30th with a restock, we've got the Union LA Air Jordan 4 Off Noirs. This shoe originally released at the end of last month on Union LA's web store, but on September 30th it's getting a much wider release. Well, I guess I shouldn't say much wider, it's getting a slightly larger release on like the sneakers app, on Nike.com, on some other random websites. But if you missed out on the Off Noir pair, which I think most of us did, you have a second chance to grab the shoe, and in theory it should be a slightly better chance. Let's be honest though, we're still all gonna take L's. Like, it's definitely gonna happen. Oh, and of course, the shoe is definitely going to sell out. But that pretty much wraps up Sit or Sell for the second half of September 2020. Now, I would love to know your thoughts on these releases and which shoes you're looking forward to most, so let me know in the comment section down below. Once again, huge thank you to ShopTagger for sponsoring today's video. Make sure to check out their free Chrome extension by clicking the link in the top of the description below. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't yet, and I'll see you all in the next one.